Hi, I'm Patricia Villone with CTV News, and joining me now is Delegate Joseline Pena-Melnick. She has been working a lot since the coronavirus, COVID-19 started, to assist the Latino community who have not had a whole lot of resources during this crisis. Tell us about what some of the main points are that you'd like to talk about.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to the community today. So as you know, because you came out a few weeks ago, I've been working with two buildings. They're low-income housing buildings for seniors in College Park, mostly African Americans and a lot of minorities. But in addition to that, I'm also working with the Latino community as well. And there are a lot of needs in the Latino community, the immigrant community, for many reasons. One of them is that a lot of immigrants possess what is called a identification number from the IRS. They're given that number so that they can work and pay taxes, local taxes, right? State taxes and federal taxes. And a lot of people have been doing that. That have TPS, the Dreamers, that they have legally a work permit to work in the United States. So they file their taxes, their employers paid uninsurance taxes. So what happened was, with the bill that passed the federal government, the CARES Act, the president left them out because it requires a social security number in order to get a stimulus check. And it requires a social security number in order to file for unemployment. And moreover, what he also did was that those American citizens that are married to undocumented individuals are not allowed to receive a stimulus check, although they are citizens. So these, individuals, people in our communities, our neighbors, cannot get any resources. So a lot of the nonprofits, people that own stores, supermarkets, like Mega Mart and others, we've been begging them for food for these communities. World Central Kitchen also has partnered with the County Executive's Office and the Latino liaison, Katina Rojas Joy, to provide meals. And a lot of the leaders in our community, like Denny Tavera, Selena Benitez, Casa Maryland, we're all working really hard, to help this community, but we don't have enough resources. The state hasn't put any money for this particular community, although they pay taxes. So, it really breaks your heart. It really does.
So first off, when you hear a lot about the undocumented, a lot of people think, oh, well, they're not paying taxes and therefore they should not get these resources. But in reality, they're paying into these programs to become a DACA recipient, to become some of the other programs that you mentioned. They're paying into the programs and they're paying taxes. And those programs actually are making a lot of money.
It's estimated that the Latino community, the immigrant community in Maryland, they pay over $300 million a year in taxes, because they were given that identification number so they can pay taxes. Because one of the requirements is that eventually, if we have immigration reform, you have to show, a lot of these policies state that you have to pay taxes. And that's why the IRS, gives them an identification number. But more importantly, a lot of the employers are paying into the unemployment fund for these employees. And these employees to date, where they need the help, cannot even file for unemployment. So imagine not getting a paycheck. Imagine not getting help from the federal government. Imagine not getting help from the state when you are paying taxes. It's just, honestly, it's inhumane.
Yeah, and in addition, you mentioned about trying to get food and other assistance to people. A lot of people have stood in lines for hours to try and get assistance, and it runs out sometimes within the first half hour. Are there people going hungry out there?
They're going hungry and they're desperate. I am working 24/7 like many of my colleagues. Everyone is working this hard. And we are constantly on the phone trying to find food I was just on the phone with the owner of Megamart, and bless his heart, he's gonna give 120 boxes of food to Casa de Maryland tomorrow. I was on the phone with another gentleman, last name, actually, we're not related, Peña, who has a supermarket in Capitol Heights, who's just right now, as we speak, donating $1,000 worth of food for the community and for a lot of these food banks. And it's not only just the Latinos, it's a lot of other people as well. We are running out of food everywhere. I talked to a friend who's doing a food distribution in Mount Rainier who ran out of food yesterday. I talked to a friend who's doing a food distribution out in Laurel who ran out of food. Another friend in Montgomery County. This is everywhere. But the Latino community, the immigrant community particularly, is being affected greatly because they don't have access to any government programs, even those that are paying money into the system.
Last night I attended a teletown hall with you. It was through Anne Arundel County, which is part of your jurisdiction. One of the things that came up that I hadn't heard about before is diapers. Mothers needing diapers for their young children, either not being able to get them, not being able to afford them. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, there's a need that, you know, that mothers don't have the diapers. I know of one family that she didn't have any diapers, and the community got together to help her. Casa de Maryland has a line, a phone line, where, you know, you can call and donate, and they're also collecting diapers. I believe that there's an organization, Diaper Depot, I think, I forget, that just gave them a huge donation of diapers. So there's a need for diapers, there's a need for formula, there's a need for food, there's a need for money. I mean, they have no money coming. A lot of these people are living paycheck to paycheck because they make very little. They're the people that serve us in the restaurants, they serve us at the hotels. They're mostly out there in the public and are high risk because they're exposed, and they're not getting help right now. So, you know, whoever is going to listen to this, I pray to God that he moves them where they can pick up the phone and find out what are the needs out there. Let me give, you know, some money. I'm not asking for something I'm not doing myself. My husband and I donated, you know, money for a lot of these courses, although we don't have a lot either, but it is simply the right thing to do. The only way we're gonna survive this is if we all work together. If we all, every little bit helps.
You also mentioned a lot of Latinos in this community are living in apartment complexes where there are large groups of people in small apartments. And we know that Prince George's has the largest number of coronavirus cases in the state. It has disproportionately affected minority communities, African Americans and Latinos. Is that also an issue where you're finding out it's not just about the resources and losing their jobs, but also that there's families, whole families that may be contracting this virus?
So I know two families. One, it's a 9-member family, another a 10-member family, and they're all positive. So the problem is that even if you deliver a box of food, they can't cook it. They're so you know, ill. So we had that yesterday. That was one case where Casa is literally trying to find cooked meals to deliver to them, you know, and it just, the needs are great. They live in Black and brown. We, as a Black Latina, I can tell you, I see it in my community. We live in these apartments. That's how I grew up, you know, where there's a lot of family members. We don't have the resources to live in a house. So we are, you know, someone gets infected, you can really implement social distancing when you're all in one tiny little place. So you have that problem, you know, the problem of, you know, they can go somewhere. If you have 3 members out of the 9 that are positive, where they're going to go, you know, where can we find a place for them to stay there for 14 days, which is what is required, and wait it out or longer. So the needs are very complex, you know, they're just layers and layers of problems. And this pandemic has made it worse.
So before we close, is there a certain, event, person, anything that you want to tell us their story about on a, you talked about humanity and the lack thereof that you've seen in this in terms of assistance. Is there a personal story that you want to tell people to let them know what this really is?
Absolutely. So I got a call of a lady that was sobbing, Patty, crying because she had not received a paycheck in weeks.
I'm sorry, we're losing you a little bit here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you
Okay,
hear?
I'm just gonna ask you if you can repeat that, okay?
Yes.
Go
So
ahead.
I received a call from a woman. As soon as I answered the call myself, she started sobbing, crying, because she had not received any money because she was not working anymore for 4 weeks and didn't have food for her family, couldn't pay her rent. She does not qualify for a lot of these programs. So it really moves you. You know, I'm finding myself, I'm on the phone all the time, helping people, making calls, begging people, can you give this, can you give that, posting about it. I mean, the needs are great, and especially in our Black and Brown communities.
If there's a place people could go, a centralized place people could go to help, what would you suggest?
I would suggest, that if you can call the Casa de Maryland, they actually need help. You can find them online. They need the help. If you can also call or give money to a lot of the food banks, the Greater Washington Food Bank, the Anne Arundel County Food Bank, College Park Food Bank, they're all running out of food, literally running out of food. And a lot of people are not giving donations anymore like they did at the beginning because we're into this already, right? Going on 2 months, and people also with their own household are lacking resources.
All right, some good advice there. Lots of things that people can do. A sad time for the particular community, and hopefully some people come out and help out on this.